Series of shootings across several states in the U.S. after mistakes. This time, two cheerleaders shot after getting into the wrong car at a grocery store. We also have breaking news from the Supreme Court on the abortion pill and what this means. And the severe storms, the tornado watch is up across several states as we come on tonight. First tonight, that chilling series of shootings from New York to Missouri and now Texas. Tonight, two cheerleaders outside Austin shot after one of them got into the wrong car in a grocery store parking lot. One of them in the ICU tonight. In upstate New York, the homeowner in court today after police say he shot and killed a young woman after the car she was in accidentally pulled into his driveway. Maria Villarreal on the string of troubling shootings now. Also tonight, news in the case of the black teenager who went to the wrong home to pick up his siblings, shot in the head by that 84-year-old homeowner. That homeowner in court today and what played out. Alex Perez in Kansas City. The breaking news from the Supreme Court late today extending women's access to the abortion pill for at least 2 more days. So what happens after that? Rachel Scott reporting tonight. In New York City, the video from inside the deadly parking garage collapse as that garage came crashing down. The new questions here tonight, among them, the number of cars on that roof. The Massachusetts Air National Guardsman accused of leaking highly classified Pentagon documents in court today. We'll have the latest. Our reporting from South Sudan tonight, the urgent effort to get help to more than 1 million people, families and children displaced by climate change, and you'll see it. And tonight, the key route in from Sudan halted after the deadly violence to the north that broke out while we were in the region. Tonight, what we witnessed on the ground firsthand, the staggering need, and what you can do. And here in the U.S., the severe storm threat as we come on the air tonight, tornado watches across several states, those storms across the Midwest, then moving into the east.
From ABC News World Headquarters in New York, this is World News Tonight with David Muir.
Good evening, and it's great to have you with us here on a Wednesday night. The breaking news from the Supreme Court on the abortion pill and what this now means for women across this country. Also, the tornado watches as we come on tonight. But first, this string of chilling shootings in America prompted by mistakes from the driveway to a grocery store parking lot now. Tonight, the latest incident outside Austin, Texas. In this parking lot right here, authorities say a man shot and wounded 2 members of an elite cheerleading squad after one of the cheerleaders got into his car by mistake, thinking it was hers. One of those cheerleaders, Peyton Washington, is in the ICU tonight. And it comes after the case in upstate New York, northeast of Albany. 20-year-old Kaylin Gillis was shot and killed when the car she was in pulled into the wrong driveway. Tonight, that homeowner in court as well, described as hot-tempered, her family emotional, amid the larger questions here across several states after a series of troubling shootings that all began with mistakes from New York to Texas tonight. Here's ABC's Maria Villarreal leading us off.
Tonight, in upstate New York, in a rural area outside Albany, this man appearing in court accused of shooting a 20-year-old woman after the car she was riding in pulled into his driveway by mistake. Homeowner Kevin Monahan charged with second-degree murder. A judge today ordering the 65-year-old to be held without bail. Authorities say 20-year-old Kaylin Gillis and 3 friends were riding in that car. Monahan firing at them as they tried to pull away, killing Gillis.
Kaylin deserves to have her story told. And what a beautiful person she was, and how many people loved her.
The deadly shooting raising questions across the country tonight. And it comes as a star high school cheerleader is in a Texas ICU after being shot when a friend mistook a stranger's car for one of their own. According to police, it happened after midnight Tuesday in a grocery store parking lot just outside of Austin. Peyton Washington, Heather Ross, and 2 other members of the Woodlands Elite Cheer Company were heading home from practice when Roth says she tried to get into a car she thought belonged to her and saw a man inside. She quickly went back to her friend's car, but the man walked over as Roth tried to apologize.
Threw his hands up and then he pulled out a gun. And then he just started shooting at all of us.
Roth was grazed by a bullet in the gunfire. Washington suffered serious injuries and was taken to a hospital. Police say the suspected gunman, Pedro Rodriguez, is now in custody. David, the suspect in that upstate New York case is now facing charges of second-degree murder. And back here in Texas, in that cheerleader case, the alleged gunman is in jail right now. He's facing a $500,000 bond and charges of deadly conduct. David?
Oh, this really troubling Maria Villarreal leading us off tonight. Maria, thank you. There is also news tonight in the case of the black teen who went to the wrong address to pick up his younger siblings, shot in the head by the homeowner who didn't even exchange words with the boy. Tonight, that 84-year-old homeowner in court, and ABC's Alex Perez in Kansas City for us.
Tonight, the Kansas City man charged with shooting a black teenager who mistakenly knocked on his door, making his first appearance in court. 84-year-old Andrew Lester, hunched and walking with a cane, pleading not guilty to felony assault and armed criminal action. Court documents revealing investigators recovered a Smith & Wesson .32 caliber revolver in the front living room chair with 2 spent shell casings still in the cylinder, live rounds still in the chambers. Lester telling police he fired at 16-year-old Ralph Yarl because he saw a black male approximately 6 feet tall pulling on the door handle and thought someone was breaking in, and saying it was the last thing he wanted to do, but he was scared to death of Yarl's size. Yarl, who's only 5'8", telling authorities after he was shot in the head and arm that Lester told him, "Don't come around here." And tonight, just 6 days after he was shot in the head, the teen outdoors on a bench with a smile.
He's still working on developing his speech and walking, but those are all great things to say about Ralph, considering the significance of his injuries.
And David, the homeowner who could face life in prison, remains free on bond and is due back in court June 1st. David?
Alex Perez in Kansas City again tonight for us. Thank you, Alex. We're going to turn now to the breaking news late today from the Supreme Court on the abortion pill. Women's access to the abortion pill remains unchanged in this country for at least 2 more days. But of course, the question is, what happens after that? ABC's Rachel Scott at the Supreme Court tonight.
Tonight, that urgent ruling from the Supreme Court allowing the abortion pill mifepristone to remain widely available for at least 2 more days. The justices giving themselves until Friday night to consider a ruling by a lower court that would slap restrictions on the pill to prevent women from accessing the drug after 7 weeks of pregnancy, require 3 in-person doctor visits, and make it unavailable by mail. It comes after a conservative Texas judge ruled mifepristone, which is used in more than half of abortions in the U.S., should have never been approved by the FDA. Today, the agency's commissioner said the decision could have ripple effects on other drugs.
We are concerned about the potential future impacts of this case.
Rachel Scott live at the Supreme Court tonight. And Rachel, the justice is obviously allowing this drug to remain widely available at least until Friday. That's just a couple of days off here, giving them more time to reach a decision. Of course, always the question, was there any indication what direction they're heading in here?
Well, David, many veteran court watchers suggest that on an issue this contentious, there could be multiple opinions in the works, which the justices need more time to write. David.
Rachel Scott live at the court tonight. Thank you, Rachel. Here in New York City tonight, video from inside that deadly parking garage collapse amid serious new questions. Tonight, hear the images and the roar of the crash. Just incredible video. 1 person killed, several injured, and tonight those questions, among them the number of cars on the roof. Trevor Ault at the scene.
Tonight, new video from inside that New York City parking garage capturing the thunderous moment it collapsed.
My whole apartment shook like an earthquake.
The 3-story structure pancaking, cars piled on top of each other, killing 1 person, injuring 7 others. Sources say the building manager was killed. Today, his body removed from the rubble. Neighbors tell us he was about to leave when the building collapsed. This giant crane pulling crushed cars out one by one, this SUV falling to the street. The building's still unstable. Gas tanks and electric car batteries now at risk of exploding.
And David, we've learned investigators are focusing on the age of this near-century-old building, and there's also questions about the weight on the roof. There were 50 cars on the top floor when the structure collapsed.
David, Trevor Ault in New York tonight. Thank you, Trevor. We turn overseas tonight into our reporting trip to South Sudan. Tonight, what we witnessed on the ground, there is an urgent effort underway to get food and aid into a country that knows war. But right now, they're in a battle against something else, a changing climate. Tonight here, the new emergency now unfolding. The only route in, bringing aid in from Sudan, has now been halted because of the deadly violence to the north that began while we were in the region. Tonight in South Sudan, the aid workers who say we must do something, they say children's lives are at stake. We land in South Sudan, where we are told there is an urgent effort to get to more than 1 million people in desperate need because of climate. The UN truck's waiting. We head out to the World Food Program, traveling down the only road in, carrying aid from Sudan. And we're there as the last convoy makes it in from Sudan before the deadly violence breaks out to the north. Mud walls holding the water back. And then the only way to get to so many of the families here is by boat. What's happening here is staggering. Climate change making the extremes here, the drought and the floods, only more extreme. 4 years in a row now of historic flooding. Waters unable to recede.
This is a very common sight here after 4 years of relentless rains. This is a tiny piece of land completely surrounded by the waters here, an island in and of itself. And these are the families that have stayed behind to continue to raise their children here.
But what do they feed the children here with no land to farm on anymore? We are told the water lilies. And then we see her, a mother in the distance. The haunting sounds, the coughing, the quiet splashing in the water, the determined work in stagnant, dangerous floodwaters. The water nearly to her chest, reaching down to pull out the water lilies and their bulbs. This mother, reaching down so far, she is nearly underwater herself. It is what they do for their children. And this mother, who proudly shows the bulbs to us. They dry them and pound them into paste to feed them to their children.
Mothers are feeding their children water lilies.
Unfortunately, they are. It is a coping mechanism because they do not have enough food.
How do they get any food when they're completely surrounded by water?
That is a biggest challenge that they are facing here, the availability of food. Before they had land where they could cultivate food, but now they are completely cut off.
Families cut off with so little land and no livestock.
It's just a stunning sight to see the cows out here in the middle of the water. This used to be farmland before the floods. The livestock, it's impossible to know just how much has been lost during these floods, but you can see they're nothing but skin and bones, these cows here, still searching for something to eat and basically marooned out here in the middle of the water.
We meet 3 siblings on the water.
What do you have there?
They tell us they have gathered grass and sticks.
They're saying they're trying to take them to town so that they could sell it.
And what will people use it for?
She's saying that they're going to use them to construct their homes.
And they're now bringing it now to where most people are on the other side of the dike, hoping to sell it for people building homes on the other side of the flood.
We make it to one of the islands, the children at the water's edge, many of them with bellies that signal the emergency. The woman who greets us with a smile. As we head to find the makeshift clinic here.
We're told of the families on this island who have come to the nutrition center for help, and you can see the mothers and their children here. They're waiting to be screened, but they have all brought their children here for help.
This little boy among the children here, a hint of a smile. All of them waiting for help.
Women bring their children here.
Achal Chand is the head of nutrition for the World Food Program here in South Sudan.
The nutrition assistant will now measure the child's upper arm.
They are trying to determine the level of malnutrition.
He's marking the child's arm to get the midpoint of the upper arm.
The mother and her baby, who is just 1.
What did you find?
I find that this child is
malnourished.
We ask her, how did she feed her child before today?
What are you able to feed your child?
She's saying that they only feed her water lilies.
Water lilies.
And we learn here that the children most at risk have been brought here to the state hospital in Bentu. Children on the brink of starvation. And we see it. The 9-year-old boy, John Chol, drinking water. And then slowly falling back down onto his bed. And we learn of the young mother, her baby, just 40 days old, a little more than a month, weighing less than 4 pounds.
You must be relieved that your baby is doing much better.
She's saying yes.
Yes, she says. Her newborn son and his tiny grip, a sign of hope here. These children, they say, are the innocent victims of climate change.
Because of the climate change.
You think it's because of the climate change?
That is what I can say.
I mean, the land has changed.
The land is about flooded. The land is flooded, actually. There is no area for cultivation. And that is because of the climate change.
Out on those tiny slivers of land, they look for the children most at risk. Grace Nyakot is from here. She now works for the World Food Program.
What do you make of the change in climate?
It's only a few weeks to rainy season, and this might worsen with time. As it is, it's all flooded everywhere.
And you haven't even begun wet season, rainy season.
The rainy season is only 2 weeks to 3 weeks
From now. We're on the front lines right here of climate change.
Yeah, no, I think there's no question this is the front lines. This is where we're seeing a change. This is not just one extreme event.
Bill Null monitors the change in climate for the World Food Program.
After 1 year, you might think you can come back and start again. But after 4 years of cumulative flooding, I think people are starting to think that this is a long-term change.
Have you ever seen anything like this?
No. I never imagined anything quite at this scale.
Scientists and researchers with the UN have studied the wet season growing more extreme here. From 2019 to 2020, the waters that did not recede. And then 2021, 2022, and this is now. They say the wetlands have tripled in size in just 4 years. And as we're on the ground here, we see it. The people here know what's coming again in just weeks. We witness an extraordinary scene. The women building a mud wall by hand, a dike, to hold any new floodwaters back. To try to reclaim some of their land. They are up against overwhelming challenge, and yet still a smile on this woman's face.
If you look over my shoulder here, you can see the very top of somebody's hut where a family once lived. And once you recognize what that is, you can see it sort of peppering the landscape here, the water's edge. Home after home just completely destroyed.
In fact, the water so deep in some places, the World Food Program uses amphibious vehicles to get to communities hardest to reach. We travel with them as they pass by old villages no longer. And when we finally get there, hours into this journey, the children running toward us. And something unexpected, we hear the children's voices. The singing under the tree. These are the school children here, and this is where they now hold their class. We see them sitting on little pots, old cans, buckets. The children are always the most resilient. We witnessed it everywhere we went. The little girl and her fist bump. And then all of the children who wanted in too. These little smiles and their waves, this is what keeps the aid workers going here. The children still learning, still singing, the faces of hope. The children and their strength in South Sudan, and as you saw there, they know the next rainy season, their next wet season, begins in just weeks. If you would like to help, you can go to wfpusa.org/ABC South Sudan. When we come back here tonight, the suspect accused of leaking those highly classified Pentagon documents in court today, what happened, and the tornado watches across several states at this hour, the storm's moving from the Midwest, then east.
I was stuck. Unresolved depression symptoms were in my way. I needed more from my antidepressant. Vraylar helped give it a lift.
Adding Vraylar to an antidepressant is clinically proven to help relieve overall depression symptoms better than an antidepressant alone. And in Vraylar clinical studies, most saw no substantial impact on weight. Elderly dementia patients have increased risk of death or stroke, report unusual changes in behavior or suicidal thoughts. Antidepressants can increase these in children and young adults, report fever, stiff muscles, or confusion, as these may be life-threatening, or uncontrolled muscle movements, which may be permanent. High blood sugar, which can lead to coma or death, weight gain, and high cholesterol may occur. Movement dysfunction and restlessness are common side effects. Stomach and sleep issues, dizziness, increased appetite, and fatigue are also common. Side effects may not appear for several weeks.
I didn't have to change my treatment. I just gave it a lift.
Ask about Vraylar and learn how AbbVie can help you save.
Want luxury hair repair that doesn't cost $50? Pantene's Pro Vitamin Formula repairs hair, as well as the leading luxury bonding treatment for softness and resilience without the price tag. If you know it's Pantene.
There's some things that go better together.
Burger and fries, soup and salad.
Like your workplace benefits and retirement savings. With Voya, considering all your financial choices together can help you make smarter decisions.
Voya, well planned, well invested, well protected.
Have heart failure with unresolved symptoms? It may be time to see the bigger picture. Heart failure and seemingly unrelated symptoms. Shortness of breath and irregular heartbeat could mean something more serious called ATTR-CM, a rare underdiagnosed disease that worsens over time. Sound like you? Call your cardiologist and ask about ATTR-CM.
Tonight, the Massachusetts Air National Guard's been accused of leaking highly classified Pentagon documents, was in court in Boston today. A lawyer for Jack Teixeira asking the judge for more time to prepare for his detention hearing. And prosecutors may reveal new details about the investigation when they return to court in 2 weeks. When we come back here, tornado watches across several states right now, and those storms then move east.
When you know what you're looking for, you pursue it. And with vitiligo, the pursuit for your pigment is no exception. It's time you had a proven choice to help restore what's yours. Opzelura is the first and only FDA-approved prescription treatment for non-segmental vitiligo, proven to help repigment skin over time. Restoring what's yours is possible with a steroid-free cream that you can apply yourself.
Opzelura can lower your ability to fight infections, including TB or hepatitis B or C. Serious lung infections, skin cancer, blood clots, and low blood cell counts occurred with Opzelura. In people taking JAK inhibitors, serious infections, increased risk of death, lymphoma, other cancers, and major cardiovascular events have occurred. The most common side effects were acne and itching were applied.
If you're on the pursuit, repigmentation may be within reach. So, are you ready? Ask your dermatologist about Opzelura. Pursue it.
I brought in Ensure Max Protein with 30 grams of protein. Those who tried me felt more energy in just 2 weeks. Here, I'll take that.
Ensure Max Protein with 30 grams of protein, 1 gram of sugar, and nutrients for immune health.
You're looking pleased with yourself.
Not to brag, but I just switched to Verizon.
So you got an awesome network.
And when I switched, I got to choose the phone I wanted for free, not bragging.
You're bragging.
Oh, he's bragging.
Who, me? Never. Oh, excuse me. Hello, Your Royal Highness, sir.
Okay, that's a brag.
Hey, Mom, I gotta call you back.
Switch and choose the phone you want, like the incredible iPhone 14 on us.
On the network worth bragging about.
Verizon.
I have type 2 diabetes, but I manage it well. It's a little...
Jardiance works 24/7 in your body to flush out some sugar. And for adults with type 2 diabetes and known heart disease, Jardiance can lower the risk of cardiovascular death too. Jardiance may cause serious side effects, including ketoacidosis that may be fatal, dehydration that can lead to sudden worsening of kidney function, and genital yeast or urinary tract infections. A rare life-threatening bacterial infection in the skin of the perineum could occur. Stop taking Jardiance and call your doctor right away if you have symptoms of this infection, ketoacidosis, or an allergic reaction. And don't take it if you're on dialysis. Taking Jardiance with sulfonylurea or insulin may cause low blood sugar.
Doors lead us to new opportunities. Your dedicated Fidelity advisor can help you open those doors by proactively reviewing your entire
portfolio with an eye on taxes and risk. Doors were meant to be opened.
Tonight, we are tracking those severe storms across the Midwest. Tornado watches in effect across 6 states, Texas to Iowa. Large hail, damaging winds, possible tornadoes. Heavy rain into the Northeast by week's end as well. When we come back, the image we cannot forget.
As someone living with type 2 diabetes, I want to keep it real and talk about some risks. With type 2 diabetes, you have up to 4 times greater risk of stroke, heart attack, or death. Even at your A1C goal, you're still at risk, which if ignored could bring you here. May put you in one of those, or even worse. Too much? That's the point. Get real about your risks and do something about it. Talk to your healthcare provider about ways to lower your risk of stroke, heart attack, or death. Learn more at getrealaboutdiabetes.com.
There are more identity threats than you realize. LifeLock alerts you and works to fix problems with a dedicated restoration specialist. Go to lifelock.com.
Ambassador Catherine Weiler, Prime Minister Nicole Trogan.
Welcome.
Sir, it's an honor to meet you.
I'm honored to be met.
The president is sending you to stop a war before it starts.
Not butter a crumpet.
I'm not doing this the way you would.
That's fine, just don't do it wrong.
If everybody hates you, Hal, it all stops.
You hate me, so let's turn it on your back.
Red Lobster presents fun dining. Taste buds need not be faithful to one shrimp dish. Thrilled and with shrimp 3 ways. Try the new Cajun Shrimp Trio, richly seasoned with Cajun flavor. That's a bold new way for shrimp 3 ways. Welcome to fun dining.
Family's just very important. She's my sister, and we depend on each other a lot.
She's the rock of the family. She's the person who holds everything together.
It's a battle, I'm gonna be there.
Keytruda and chemotherapy been treated in my cancer with 2 different types of medicine.
In a clinical trial, Keytruda and chemotherapy was proven to help people live longer than chemotherapy alone. Keytruda is used to treat more patients with advanced lung cancer than any other immunotherapy. Keytruda may be used with certain chemotherapies as your first treatment. If you have advanced non-squamous non-small cell lung cancer and you do not have an abnormal EGFR or ALK gene, Keytruda can cause your immune system to attack healthy parts of your body during or after treatment. This may be severe and lead to death. See your doctor right away if you have cough, shortness of breath, chest pain, diarrhea, severe stomach pain, severe nausea or vomiting, headache, light sensitivity, eye problems, irregular heartbeat, extreme tiredness, constipation, dizziness or fainting, changes in appetite, thirst or urine, confusion, memory problems, muscle pain or weakness, fever, rash, itching or flushing. There may be other side effects. Tell your doctor about all your medical conditions, including immune system problems. If you've had or plan to have an organ or stem cell transplant, receive chest radiation, or have a nervous system problem.
It feels good to be here for them.
Living longer is possible. It's true. Keytruda from Merck. Ask your doctor about Keytruda.
Today's the field trip to the Franklin Institute.
And it's a sleepover.
Our first sleepover.
Girls is players too.
Just kiss and get it over with.
Yeah.
You need to be better about hiding things with your face.
I just want to have a good night. Hold up.
A final note before we go tonight after our trip to South Sudan. The lasting image for us, the strength of the children, the smiles right there, the fist bump from the little girl in the dress, and then all of the children wanting in, the waves, the smiles, and really everywhere we went, the resilience. Again, if you would like to help, you can go to wfpusa.org/ABC South Sudan. And we've shown this to you before. Sometimes all it takes is one of these nutritional packets. Good night.
Thank you for making World News Tonight with David Muir, America's most watched newscast.
Hendrick.
Lejeune Honda is now Stevenson Hendrick Honda Jackson.